Hello to all you Patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 88 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the number one podcast in Canada. We're recording on Monday, July 10th, 2017.
Hi, I'm Gavin, business owner, gun enthusiast, hunter, atheist, content provider for Toxic Kodiak Pathfinders, and host of the Greater Toronto Area chapter of the Tactical Beard Owners Club.
Hey guys, I'm Sean, father of one, IDPA, IPSC 3-gun competitor, and Saskatchewan director for the CCFR.
I'm Tim, owner and operator of Tim's Good T-shirts. They're quite good. I'm a sports shirter, and I'm a proud descendant of immigrants and a witch.
All right, I'm Marty, sport shooter and hunter in rural southern Ontario.
Is that my cue?
Yep.
I'm not looking at the show notes. Sorry.
Go ahead,
Really?
Tyler.
I'm Tyler. I am currently starting a fire in my backyard. I'm a sports shooter and occasional hunter, fellow podcaster, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, that's it.
Is your other half going to introduce himself, or?
He is not close by. It looks like he is passed out on the couch.
That will happen.
Can't say I'm shocked.
Yeah. He's in like a wing euphoria from the wings we cooked up earlier today.
It's got wing madness.
Yeah.
The right wing cook-off did look pretty tasty on the Facebook Live.
They did.
It was tasty. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and I hope everybody can now cook up a mean batch of wings. I don't want to see anybody buying frozen wings and baking them in an oven.
No,
So do you have to pay extra to get only the right ones?
That's correct. Yeah, to have if you want a sorted batch, it costs extra.
Yeah.
But you had no left wings in there.
That's right.
Yeah.
The left wings, they go in the oven, and then they stay there until they're all burned up. The right wings, they come out, and then they achieve their full potential.
Yeah, the hard thing with the left ones is no matter what, they're always soft.
Explains a lot about Brian.
Ooh.
I'm not actually going to counter signal Brian. Brian actually got really nice over the last few days. Actually,
We'll get into Brian shortly. Let's see it.
On the Brian episode.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's further down the show notes.
Well.
Can I do my intro?
Of course.
Anytime.
Hi, I'm Victoria, professional problem solver, badass warrior princess, and wife to Andrew.
Really sorry about that.
A woman.
Yeah. You started off strong there, and it kind of all fell apart at the end.
As always, my name is Andrew. I'm your host. I'm a recovering libertarian, a competitive shooter, and a firearms instructor at Ragnarok Tactical.
Dan, we'd love to hear your feedback about the show, so please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. The edited version of the show is available on Stitcher and iTunes, and if you use iTunes, we'd really love some 5-star reviews because it's been a little while. And in the comments section, put down something you'd like me to drink for an episode. If you put down strawberry daiquiris again, we may all get hammered on those again and stink up our offices the next morning.
I'll stab you.
All right. Yeah, don't. Strawberry daiquiris is no longer a thing. As always, you can check out the podcast on the social medias. Facebook.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast or at Instagram@Instagram.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast. We have no hashtags this week.
Except for hashtag Marty loves daiquiris. That's the new one.
That's an ongoing one, though. That's just always the way it is.
We need your help to support the show. Visit www.patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get the uncensored audio version of the show for just $1 per episode. And the more you pledge, the better the rewards are.
Okay, let's go into my favorite part of the show. It's called What Are We Drinking? This is where I ask, what are you drinking? Gavin, what are you drinking?
I am on the Crown Apple and Coke Zero this evening.
Proud of you, Gavin.
Thank you.
What are you drinking, Sean?
I got, well, it's 37 degrees in Regina today, so I'm trying to get through this bottle of Dasani sparkling water and Great Western Pilsner.
Nice. Tyler, what are you drinking?
I am fetching a fresh Rickards White out of the fridge because Rachel did not bring me one as I asked.
I'm sorry to hear that. Marty, what are you drinking?
About not being brought a beer, or that I'm drinking Rickards White?
Not being brought a beer. You should have your wife talk to my wife. My wife does as I ask.
I am unfortunately back to the Crown Maple and Coke Zero after a weekend of beer. It's very delicious, and I'm sorely missing it again now.
Yeah, it was glorious drinking beer on the weekend, I must admit.
I drink so much beer. Not as much as some people, Tyler.
You forget how good it is.
Yeah. So good when it hits your lips.
Sounds like there's a... Moving on. Tim, what are you drinking?
I'm going to be alternating between Heineken and Rickards Red.
It's an interesting combination.
Yeah.
Wife, what are you drinking?
I am drinking delicious water.
Is it reverse osmosis?
No, it's from our Berkey. Berkeys are good.
I don't even know what that is.
Isn't that like what Muslim women wear?
Well played, sir. Well played.
Don't you get that from, was it like Tim the Berkey guy Gleason or whatever?
Tim the Berkey guy Gleason. But his shipping to Canada is not so good, so I found a Canadian retailer for Berkeys. I'm drinking Coors Banquet because I have Coors Banquet from the hotel. So let's go into why we're all...
The hotel gave you beer?
No, I brought beer to the hotel, and I wanted cheap and cold, so we're going with Banquet because
it's a good beer. That's the official beer of the Right Wing Death Squad.
I knew there was a reason I was attached to it. Let's get into why we have our illustrious panel gathered here today for our big damn crossover episode with the 50% of the International Liberty or Death podcast and a whole bunch of people from CPP. We're talking about the 7th Annual Canadian Firearms Podcaster Network Charity Shoot, which is finally over, and I am so glad.
Yes. It's been a long road.
Oh my God, the last week has just been brutal.
Yeah. It was a great time, but it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
It was so much work, and it was for such a good cause, and I'm so glad that we're not doing it again until it's in its 14th year and keeping our tradition of doing it septannually, I guess?
Septober. Did
We'll
you
do it
know
again in
Bob,
7 years.
Did you know Bob Ross is dead?
What?
I'd heard that.
I don't know. I don't know if I can do this tonight, then, guys. I'm sorry. That news is devastating. I need to go paint some happy little trees somewhere. I'm sorry.
He's up there teaching Harambe how to paint.
All right, let's talk about the past weekend because it was a thing that we did, and I'm so glad it's done now.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into very much detail at all for Friday, except to say go back and listen to episode 87.1, where we talk in detail about the Ragnarok Tactical Carbine Operator course.
Yeah.
Why don't we play the audio from that right now?
No.
Needless to say, the course went well.
What do you think tap water is? It's a gay bomb, baby.
Yeah.
I was really hoping it was just a gay bomb. That's a way longer drop than I wanted. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about the charity shoot on Saturday instead, and listeners can go back and listen to 87.1 when they feel so inclined.
Okay, just speaking quickly of 87.1, I was thinking beforehand, now that we don't have the crazy lag, it should be a lot better for us not talking all over each other. But apparently, when we're all in a room completely drunk, it's so much worse.
Although, I think you need to mention quickly that little fact that you brought up earlier about Tim and his witchcraft.
Yes, so actually, Tim, I think it was before he joined the call. So if you go back and listen to 87.1, there's a spot where we're talking about law enforcement officers stripping the mags out, and how that's important for them in a life or death scenario. But in a competition setting, it's not life or death, it's just a competition. So worst case, if it doesn't fall out, it's not a big deal. Tim, if you listen to that, goes on a rant about all of the prizes that can be won. I mean, you could even win an Elwood Epps gift card. Tim, what did you win the next day?
I won an Elwood Epps gift card.
Yeah. So you were some sort of time traveler or a witch.
Well, it was like a prayer to Keck, and it was like 87.1, the 7 plus the 1 becomes 8, 88. Keck loves repeating numbers. And the piano. There's 88 keys on the piano. Yeah. It's all in the Wikipedia.
Burn the witch.
I made out like a bandit. I won 3 things. But anyway, we'll get into that later.
The real winner
I
here
won
was many
7
to
things,
1.
So I
It's
think
true.
I came out on top.
I think we all did.
Actually,
I won the
one
love
more
and
thing, so
admiration of
Gavin
the
wasn't
firearms
throwing my
community.
raffle tickets back into the hat.
Hey, you got your 2 beer openers.
I got 4 beer openers. Actually, it was 2 GoPro mounts.
You got 2 of them, didn't you?
I got 4 beer like 4 bottle openers, 2 GoPro mounts, and a single point sling attachment system for a plate carrier.
I got some tannerite that we can use to blow some shit up.
That does sound like a good time.
Bug out
Yeah.
2.0.
Yeah. It's not a very discreet bug out because everything is blowing up, but it'll be more fun.
We'll sleep in the
The
blast
T
trader.
will definitely be higher.
That's a much higher T fire than the last time, guys.
Yeah.
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 Well done.
So should we
All right,
announce
let's,
the total that we raised for many to 1, or do
No,
we
no,
want to make everyone
no,
wait?
No. We're 15 minutes into the episode. We're going for an hour. They're waiting until minute 50 at the earliest.
Oh, there we go. You heard it from the man.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
That's right. Dick Licker Actual says, "Now hear this." Can
I thought we requested
can I
a
talk
call
about?
sign change to Burger Actual.
Yeah, I wanna talk about. So we did the radio thing, and I'm so glad we had radios. But at the same time, I also want to get a pace stick and beat people that don't know how to follow radio procedure.
Yeah, it's almost
people
like
made it-
they should issue a license for that kind of thing.
Some people made it needlessly hard for me to be able to do my job, but it was still way better to do it with the radio than for me to run back and forth all the frickin' time.
I made your job fun.
You know what? Most of the time, the hilarious bants on the radio was hilarious. But the odd time when I'm like, match director stage 1, radio check, match director stage 1, critical message, match director stage 1, answer your fucking radio, and no one's coming back.
I'm
So are we
sensing
saying
a
that
theme
stage
here.
1 was a problem.
I'm picking on stage 1 because somehow we didn't get them a radio first thing in the morning, so I didn't realize that they were not. I thought they were just ignoring me, and it turns out they actually didn't have a radio for almost 2 hours.
Well, that would drive you crazy.
So getting that sorted out helped, but just in general, having the radios was great. Our radio procedure could use work because there were certain times, like when Tyler wanted burgers, and I couldn't get like information about what he actually wanted to get him his things.
I asked for 14 burgers. I got 2 burgers and a hockey puck. So that's close enough, I guess.
Rounding error. It's
He thought the
Well,
charcoal
yeah, 'cause-
would help deactivate the hot sauce in your.
Well, it was actually like it was okay that the burgers were, late and at least partially overcooked. Was that Brian asked for the works on his burger and he got nothing.
Well, you see that again. That comes back to like the shitty radio procedure. Because I asked like if you guys wanted any condiments, and you're like, I want 88 burgers, and I'm like, no, really. Do you want anything on the burgers I'm sending you? And you're like, yes, 88. I'm like, okay, well, you're getting nothing then.
So it's got not so much to do with poor radio protocol as much as us just being assholes. That's what you're saying.
Wandering around, man, having a good time, and it was a good time.
It was a very good time. I thoroughly enjoyed the day. I am pretty sure I got heat stroke right after lunch. I was completely fucking cooked by the time that we did presentations at 4. But it was a good day.
You got it. Yeah,
Just-
you got
just like those burgers you made.
Yeah, we was kangs though.
It's true, we were.
Shit. Actually, Matt did a really good job. I stood in to relieve him so he could go back to shooting because he did volunteer to use his Texas powers to grill us some tasty hamburgers. Unfortunately, one of the other things that, from my perspective, could have gone better was the squads eating lunch, because I was expecting that we could fill in with where squads had gone faster on certain stages. They could go and eat lunch while other squads were still shooting. And somehow we ended up with like 60 people trying to eat at the same time. So, minor snafu.
Yeah, all in all, though, I'd say our timing worked out fairly well, other than with the wait for the barbecue. But I guess it gave everyone a chance to take a break and socialize together, which isn't a bad thing. So.
Oh shit!
No, I just
Matt is approaching.
Oh. Let the ship
well, I'm
talking
not waiting for
commence
this. We're
then.
carrying on.
Nice. All right. Here, I'm gonna have to change my camera setup here.
Well, this is making for great podcast material.
Are you talking about your face or?
Well, don't worry, Andrew. Next
Hello,
time
Matt.
we do this, we'll gladly sit in on a radio protocol class that you put on for us. How's that?
Yeah, but
I was just
without the
paying Matt a compliment before he showed up, saying what a great job he did with his Texas skills on the barbecue. But if you want to talk shit, we can do that too.
I was not being like facetious. I was being serious. I mean, I think your face is beautiful.
Without the government, who would regulate the radio waves?
Literally.
Yeah.
I am at a loss for words. Thank you, Matt. That's highly irregular. Carrying right on with our day of shooting. Actually, Matt, you were actually squatted and went around and shot. We didn't make you do staff duty for most of the day, with the exception of grill mastering. How did you feel about things? How did it run from your perspective as a competitor?
It was pretty good. I'm gonna try not to get distracted because we got coyotes probably a few hundred yards out right now. We're out back on the fire, but yeah. So I thought overall it was pretty good. The only issues I had was like on the maple seed course. I think for a stage on a podcast charity shoot where you've got like 4 or 5 stages, I think the instruction kind of takes a little long for that. I think if you're going to do like some sort of rifleman type, like marksman scoring thing, maybe try to simple it down a little bit, like do like the USMC rifleman qualification or something a little bit quicker, to explain the scoring. Just an idea, but I mean, because the maple seed it just seemed like it bogged things down, and then getting the scores for it. But other than that, I thought all the other stages were excellent. I thought the helicopter stage was badass. I thought the shotgun stage was a lot of fun because it was a quick intro, but it was also to like competitive shotgun. Kind of got my juices flowing for it a little bit, but it also was quick enough to where, it kept things moving. So like as people were done with the other stages, you could get a team on there and keep them rolling. But yeah, other than that, I mean, the only thing I would change maybe is, like I said, the maple seed stage. And then, make sure to have like at least 2 people, not just one person that knows how to run a grill. But
Yeah, I think if I were going to do this again, I would put 3 ROs on a stage, 1 to RO, 1 to score keep, and 1 to work a radio.
Yeah.
And I would put 2 people at the barbecue, 1 to manage crowd control, and 1 to just focus on the meat.
Yeah, and then I think definitely like next year, whoever does it, like whoever's doing like the lunch, whether it's catered or bar grilling it. I mean, that's just simple, quick things, like just by learning. Because it's like it's limited to how much you can get done on the grill at a certain time. So it's just like you can radio in like, hey, I got 10 burgers, send a squad, or whatever. But I thought overall it was great. I thought the drone footage was really cool. I think it'd be cool to try to, incorporate some more drone footage like next time, even on certain stages or even at the carbine.
Yeah, I'd be cool with that. Yeah. Having the drone there was kind of neat. It was nice of Lucas to bring that out to play with. It did make for some cool video.
All you Patreon people, we're looking for a drone, so pony up the cash.
Pony up, guys. Let's get us a drone.
Do what Cantwell does. Set up an Amazon wish list and people can buy shit.
Oh, I thought I was going to get to shout, "Fuck you, pay me."
I mean, you can do that too. But it's actually, Ray Liotta says that, and then Cantwell is like copying him. We get Ray Liotta on the show.
Yeah. It's a Goodfellas reference, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I really don't know how a lot of the other stages went, but I mean, at least in the setup, I didn't think that the stage 1 for the Maple Seed was going to do a whole lot of instruction. I figured we were going to just shoot their course of fire. We kind of let them take that as their baby so that we could focus on everything else.
Okay,
but
I'll come back to Maple Seed because I would like to run down the stages now that we've had them and we've done them, and I want to share that with our listeners. So stage 1 was the Maple Seed. For a Maple Seed, you can score a maximum of 250 points would be a perfect target for them, which unfortunately is counter to the rest of the scoring system because we normally use golf scoring. Lowest points wins. So in order to score the Maple Seed, I had to deduct your posted score from your maximum possible score to determine the best time, which was fun. It was good to figure that out at 3 p.m. when I was dehydrated. That was awesome. We'll come back to Maple Seed because I want to talk about that some more. But stage 2, the El Presidente drill with the handgun. How did that run for you guys, Tyler? I think you spent the majority of the day ROing that one.
I was ROing the platform, the helicopter stage for the most part, stage 3. I did spend a little bit of time ROing the El Presidente stage, but. I thought that, it was easy. It was a good stage. It was appropriate for the crowd because it's easy to explain and it's easy to shoot, and it incorporates kind of, skill sets that are obviously fundamental when it comes to a handgun, but not super intimidating. So you have to retrieve your gun, load it, get a round into battery, and then get rounds off on target, and then do a reload and then reacquire those targets. So it's there's a lot going on, and it was probably challenging for a lot of the newer shooters, especially when you introduce something that is a new element to a lot of shooters, which that being the timer. So I know a lot of people enjoyed it, and everybody loves shooting at steel. I did feel like in retrospect that steel was probably a little close, but no one died, so I'm just going to leave it at that. But I feel like everybody that came through had a good time. A lot of people wanted to run it twice, and a lot of people enjoyed it so much that they didn't even care about their scores, and they just dumped every round that they had on them at the steel. So like people were just having a great time. So that's what we want to see.
Yeah, I like that, and you're right. I agree. After having shot it, it was at the correct distance for what we need to shoot steel, but I think we should have moved it back to about 15 yards because the 2/3 IDPA target at 10 yards or 7 yards, whatever it was kind of easy.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were at distance, was it just because it was too easy, or were you guys getting a lot of splashback?
No, I felt it was too easy when I went and shot it.
Yeah, me and Jay Hines know the kinds. We ran 3 squads through there, and there was no hint of splash anywhere at all, even with
No, we were fine for
Tucker
distance.
Evans.
We made the distance that we needed for safety considerations under the range guidelines, so there was no issues with meeting the minimum safe distance to shoot steel. I just felt that the targets were too big for how close we had people.
Two main
in
problems, not with the stage design, but what shooters were having trouble with is, first of all, from what I saw, about 40% of the shooters would change mags and they would eject a round as they rack their slide. So people aren't used to doing, mag changes.
What are those extra blocks for?
Yeah, like so they put a new magazine in and rack the slide and eject a round. So usually, I guess they're obviously doing a lot of bench shooting and whatnot. So like they're doing, they'll go to slide lock and then change the magazine. But the other problem was just the shape of the target kind of gives a false sense of center of mass vertically. And I saw a lot of rounds going off the shoulders, like ticking the shoulder or going near where the hooks were. So a lot of shots were going missing just over the shoulders kind of thing, and people weren't adjusting down to the actual center of mass, which was the center of the lower part. But
right. So on that one, I want to happily announce that yours truly came in first, and Mike Hisson and Benny Lewis from New Shooter Canada came in second and third, respectively.
Yeah, so congratulations, guys.
Yeah, well done. Let's go to stage 3. I think stage 3, at least conceptually, when we talked about the stages, this was my favorite stage to design, just because we have a master craftsman among us to build us an awesome helicopter platform.
Yeah, it was easily the stage that was easily run by the most handsome men present at the event. I really regret not sealing the wood on the prop, because we had a couple ladies come through there, and now my prop is all like warped and swollen. The wood's all warped, and now I gotta resurface it all. So I would have done things differently. Too
much moisture.
Yeah, but I mean that's on me for not looking at the practice score and seeing a couple ladies in there.
Yeah, but I blame feminism. Feminism too. Like they should have been home.
I blame Harambe and his giant gorilla dong.
We all make valid points.
I have to say though, Tyler, the dovetailed corners was a nice touch.
Yep.
I really enjoyed the helicopter stage. That was a ton of fun. I'm so glad that prop turned out so well that you made, Tyler. And I personally had a blast shooting that.
Yeah, I look forward to shooting from that often.
In retrospect, it was too difficult of a stage to reset the way that we had it laid out. But as a stage, I think that was definitely one of the more fun stages.
Yeah, it might have been a little bit ambitious with the distance involved for the caliber of shooters that were coming through. I mean, a lot of at least half of the shooters were relatively new. So they were a little slow on the reloads, a little slow to acquire their targets, a little uncertain, shooting from a prone position. And, then the distance involved obviously increased our reset time. But towards the end, when we had, like the super squad come through, where all the guys on Slamfire were on the same squad, these are all like accomplished shooters. I was looking at about 90 seconds or so. And then my two other ROs that helped me run that stage, Jeff and Brian, they were already coming back with targets fully patched, and we had the next shooter on the line. I had set a 2-minute par time for that stage, and my par time buzzer, like that beep, was going off when my ROs were almost back on the firing line. So we were getting like probably a 2.5 minute turnaround for that stage with some of the more accomplished shooters. But then again, we also had some shooters that, they hit part-time while shooting it. I agree. It's probably a little bit ambitious, but, I got nothing but positive feedback from people on that. So I'm just happy to see that people had a good time, and a lot of people were happy to wait to shoot that stage.
Yeah, but there was absolutely no reason to say that there's they were having trouble with reloads when they could have easily taken a Ragnarok course in the last 2 years.
Yeah. A lot of people, we had a couple people come and shoot 10-22s. We had a couple people shoot rifles that you certainly, they would definitely be out of place in a modern rifle class. such as a Ragnarok AR operator course or carbine operator course. But for the most part, people shot ARs predictably, and there's no excuse for a sloppy reload on an AR when there's training available.
Well, that and 2 of the 3 people that placed had taken that class the day before. Just saying.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was
feedback
particularly
before
impressed.
we do the.
I was particularly
Right.
impressed with Benny's score because I believe he was shooting a Tavor, and reloads on that are super awkward. So I don't know where he picked up
especially
his
in the
time,
prone on a helicopter.
but he did
That's,
quite well.
Yeah.
So congratulations
So-
to him.
First,
I did
second,
hear
and third.
that somebody dropped their magazine out of the helicopter and then picked it up.
Yeah, well, this is on me for not throwing that down in the stage description in the stage brief that I gave the shooters. I knew it was something kind of in my head, but I didn't have anything prepared or printed out to read from. And for the first squad that went through, I neglected to mention that any magazine lost off the platform was lost for the stage. And so somebody lost it and immediately had already retrieved it and started loading it. So I just let it go.
Yeah, but for something like that, when it's for charity, when someone goes ahead and do that, I gotta say it's got to be match DQ escorted off the range.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tim. Let's do the top 3, and then I have listener feedback for this one. So they have first, second, and third: Adriel, Benny, and Mike. So this is New Shooter Canada cleaning up.
I have a
Or you
feeling they're
got
not
4
new.
and,
I have a feeling they're not new shooters.
I got the honorable 6th, and Brian with a Y, a 7. So the ROs for that stage did relatively well. They must have picked up all the tips. We also have feedback from
Not just
Josh
the
on
tips.
YouTube, and just the tips. Feedback on YouTube from Josh. He says that the helicopter stage was his favorite of the day. And I want to thank
heard
Josh for attending and listening.
Now, was
I
that,
heard that from a
was
few
that
people.
because the stage was fun, or was it because of the handsome men ROing it?
I imagine it was because of the handsome men ROing it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about stage
yeah.
4. Gavin, this was your stage, right?
Yeah, I ran the shotgun stage pretty much all day, and Tim was there helping me out, as was Jay from
That's
Modern
me.
Rifleman Radio. Yeah, but no, it was fun. I mean, everybody that came through had fun. I mean, I wouldn't call it super challenging, especially when you kind of look at some of the OAS matches we've been to. But it was a fun, fast stage that people that know what they're doing can go through and just blast the hell out of targets, and then other people that weren't so confident or competition ready still had fun at it because it wasn't overly challenging for them. So
Was Robert W? Was he shooting a semi? Don't remember.
I don't know.
Oh,
No, he had one after the shoot though.
okay.
LOL, I see what you did there. Can we just talk briefly about the stage? Because I
No,
I
it
enjoyed
wasn't that.
sitting-
It's just he beat me by 0.01 of a second. So actually, I did really good in the shotgun. I came in 5th. Yeah, I had my bayonet out for Harambe, and I was shooting my pump Mossberg 590A1. But Harambe smiled at me, and I got a hard charge in 5th place.
The one thing that I really liked with
Yes.
the shotgun stage, and this is the only stage that we had the opportunity to do it, was this is our only movement stage. And I figured the shotgun is like the least bad choice for new shooters to be moving around with because it's so big that the RO would have a chance to get it pointed back in the right direction before they could do anything stupid with it.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Luckily, I didn't have to DQ anybody, but there was a couple people that came pretty close, especially some of those guys running those Duria style shotguns. Just saying, their mag changes were less than desirable.
I'd say my biggest complaint with this stage was the person that got first, because he beat me again on this one.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah, you had a pretty phenomenal run there, Marty. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, so I guess first, second, and third for shotgun. Our very own Tyler, Marty, and then Furlot.
All handsome men.
Well,
I am not particularly enthusiastic about my time on this, but for whatever reason, my shotgun jammed up a couple of times, so that really affected my score. But then I let Brian, Benny, and a couple other people run it, and they ran it flawlessly with that gun.
So are you saying
After?
So once you
So-
warmed it up,
but-
they were able to get it in there and do their thing.
Well, I mean, I had run it the day before after setup, just so that I wouldn't, have to do it the day of, and that concentrate on ROing it. But I'm a little upset at my performance. But I did not cheat and run it again. I stuck with my terrible score because
charity.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
the way I
But,
look at it too is I learned from that shotgun stage. Well, I learned a couple things. One, I wish I had my AR with my optic on it, but RCMP kind of butt fucked me. So I learned that you get OPP. Well, you get used to shooting a rifle with an optic, and then you try to go back to irons. It's like you realize again, it's like Tyler said before, it's training. It goes off, but then with the shotgun stage, like competitively, the difference, I ran the stage extremely smoothly, and then I got hung up reloading at the very, very end of the stage, and I easily spent 15, 16 seconds fumbling around that reload, and that knocked me from top 3 contention to, like, I think I got 9th or 10th place or something, or 11th place. So it goes to show you like how critical reloading is, especially in shotgun competition. So
especially
skill sets. I
Yeah,
got
shotgun reloading is make or break. Everything else doesn't matter. It's all reloading.
yeah,
yeah, for sure.
I will definitely agree to that.
Let's get into the last and final stage, stage 5, the pistol plate rack. This is the only stage where there was the option to pay to reshoot, and the best time was taken. Marty, you and Jeff are at this stage. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so generally it was a lot of fun. Pretty well everybody, chose to reshoot, and there's a lot of, good bands going on, a lot of shit talking between people running this stage. One thing I would say, though, is, beforehand, so this is 6-inch plates at 15 yards. So we intentionally tried to make this stage a little bit harder, thinking that was going to be relatively easy. So we made it a limited round count. So you only had 5 rounds for the 5 plates. And we intentionally did that to try and build up more of a challenge and get more people, to keep running through and try and raise a bit of extra money and just to try and get more of the shit talking and bans and stuff going on at that stage. In hindsight, and we saw it right away, but once we'd kind of run a squad through, it's kind of too late. It was too challenging for people. It was.
I agree. We were overconfident in our shooter's ability for this one. We shouldn't have limited the rounds.
Right. So it was really tough for people. I didn't realize how tough that was going to be for people to hit 5 out of 5 on at that distance. So that's one of the things that, like, in retrospect, definitely wouldn't have done a limited round count. But that being said, it was still super fun. There was, a lot of good challenges going on. A lot of people trying to best each other at least, and trying to get clean runs. But definitely, it was probably more difficult than the average shooter that was out there.
So we only had 7 people actually run the stage clean. And my understanding is we raised $310 additional for the 50-50 through this stage.
Correct.
So
so we raised $310 from people paying extra. Do you want to go through the winner?
Yeah. So the top 7 from 7th to 1st: Everton, Etienne, Jake, Mike. 3rd place is Aaron. 2nd place is Matt McClatchy from Slamfire Radio. And 1st place was Trevor Furlot from Slamfire Radio.
And Trevor, as the winner of the 50-50, graciously donated back his half of the winnings. So all $310 that were raised on that plate rack went right back to the charity, which was phenomenal.
Yeah, as much as I like to hate on Trevor, I commend him for that.
Yes, it was a very
that
honorable.
was a classy move right there.
Yeah.
That's right. Trevor is now the classy one. I hereby declare it.
And
Wow,
I have to
and
say,
great
that
depends.
time,
It depends if you're talking about his charity. I was just gonna say it depends if you're talking about his charity or his sexual proclivities. But if we just talking about charity, I would say he's classy, the one. Yeah. Anyway,
yes. So Trevor ended up
Yeah.
running it in 4.6 second. Unloaded, table start. So pick up an empty handgun, load it, and fire 5 rounds at 5 targets at 15 yards. And damn, 4.6 is fast.
Yeah.
that is, yeah. Both him
Was he
and
using-
Matt.
Was he using a
McClatchy,
9
they're-
or 45?
Yeah, so he was, and I was going to say that, like, he was using a 9. I was running it in a man's caliber, and I could get it in under his time, but I wasn't able to get a clean run under his time. So I'd be interested to see what he did if he wasn't using a woman's gun. But
Wasn't he using
see.
his fancy race gun too? I mean, it's all tricked out and everything.
No, he wasn't. He was using his 1911, not his 2011.
Ah.
All right. The last thing I want to get into is the grand aggregate. Grand aggregate is something that's not always used in these type of competitive shooting. The grand ag is anyone who completed all of the stages, and we take the total time and sum it up. So this is like the overall. Normally we divide this up by classes and stuff. We didn't do that because it's a charity shoot. We had 40 people complete all of the stages. We'll get into the total number of competitors in a minute when we talk numbers, but we had 40 people complete all 5 stages on the Saturday. And starting at the bottom, Scott won the McClatchy Award. The McClatchy Award is the traditional Podcaster Charity Network Shoot Award for the person who comes in last. It is also the biggest trophy.
The most honest shooter, if you will.
Indeed.
should be like a giant deal.
And then our top 3 positions, Aaron coming in third with a score of 310, Jake with a score of 255, and Matthew McClatchy, his own self, coming in with a total score of 197.16 seconds. Which, that is thoroughly, thoroughly impressive.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know why that was funny. I like the fact that he got the entire match in under 200 seconds is
that's
feat.
Pretty awesome, I'm not gonna lie.
Particularly when this is the man who we have the last place trophy award named after.
We were talking
Well, I
about
think that-
what the next year's McClatchy Award should be, like a big black dildo rather than a giant trophy.
That's a very odd thing to award someone, but I suppose if that's what you want to do.
Like with veins and stuff.
Well, obviously, I mean, if
Naturally.
you're gonna have
Naturally. It has to be anatomically correct. I understand.
You got to make it
Um,
work.
Veins are an
So-
important part.
Just get Andrew to
Though-
put a casting for next year.
Exactly. The one thing that I did want to go back and talk about was I did get some negative feedback from some people regarding the Maple Seed, which was understandable. The Maple Seed was run a little bit differently from the other events. The scoring was backwards because they score out of a finite number because you're doing it on a finite time. So rather than being on the clock, they give you 50 seconds or 2 minutes or 5 minutes or however long it is for the various parts of the Maple Seed. So the scoring was confusing for some people, and they also use their own set of range commands, which is different from how we normally run other action shooting matches. So there is no load, make ready, shooter, are you ready, stand by, hear the beep, shoot the gun, unload, show clear, or hammer down, holster. They do their own thing, which requires a block of instruction in order to get them going. And in retrospect, I think Matt may have been the person who made the comment. I would have altered the Maple Seed course of fire so that they were shooting Maple Seed targets, but more under the standard set of range commands that the other 4 stages use, just because this seemed to cause confusion for a a good number of shooters.
You know what might help?
Charity shoot actually had basically that. We had a target with various scoring zones of different sizes.
Yeah.
And it was all run under the guise of like standard whatever, and nobody really seemed to have a problem with it. Now I don't even talking about, because I didn't shoot stage 1, and the only time I made it over there was to give them a radio. So I have no comment on that. But based on this feedback, it's kind of strange, given that the people that were running the Maple Seed, the Maple Seed stage, actually had a similar event at the charity shoot that they hosted last year. So I wonder, maybe they just wanted to kind of build on that. And, sometimes adding complexity is fun for some shooters, but it just becomes, a bit of a mess for some of the newer shooters who can't quite follow what's going on.
Yeah, on my end, it was just the lack of consistency. It seemed to cause administrative burden.
Yeah, which I guess
Especially new shooters, I can see how that can happen.
Yeah, I mean, I assumed that they would sort of run it similar to how we were running everything else, with the same sort of, commands and such, just with a maple seed flavor to it, if you will. Like, we'd be shooting their targets and their course of fire, but not necessarily without the instruction.
Like leaves.
Yeah.
It really should be made.
So like I didn't, by the time I decided to go over to Maple Seed, it was like 2:58, and there was 2 minutes left in the match. But I suggest to the good folks at Maple Seed, if they do that again at the next shoot, and they might even have this, but I'm not aware of that they do, but would be if they could do like a 2-minute instructional YouTube video, and then we can post that with the match directions and all that stuff. And then if a shooter wants to be prepared, they can watch the video over and over. And if not, then at least you could say, well, we posted a YouTube video with instructions on how to do this. So, because it is a discipline.
Yeah, and I mean, like we did with all the other stages. I mean, you got a brief stage rundown and a walkthrough if it required it, an explanation. So, I mean, they're certainly capable of doing that and saying, because I know like you shoot from several different positions for each sort of section of their stage, right? So they should, explain that as a group, and that, you have X amount of time to shoot, 10 shots at this target, and then that's done. And then you shoot at the next one and the next one. And each sort of step has its own course of fire, if you will. But like, that could easily be explained as a group, and then go, okay, everyone get to the line on the line with your gun and load and make ready. And on the signal, you have 90 seconds or whatever it is to engage the targets, and run it very similar to how we ran all the other stages.
Yeah, I think my only criticism, honestly, would be like, if you're going to have a stage that requires some complexity in terms of your own safety briefing, etc., I think that you need to be not soft-spoken, and you need to be clear and concise. And that's not like anything personal with anybody that was running the stage.
No, I think that was maybe a lack of communication on our part, maybe.
Just as a random side story around the stage 1, the night before, while having a few adult beverages with some of the Slamfire Radio guys and some of the Maple Seed guys, being the gamers that they are, they decided to practice and prepare and dry fire for that Maple Seed stage to get a leg up on the rest of the competition at the charity shoot the next day. That training and gaming the night before, it seems like the only person that we had rage quit one of the stages due to their poor performance was one of the Slamfire hosts.
Who was that? Who did that?
That would be the Furlot.
Really?
Yeah, Trevor rage quit
absolutely.
Maple Seed.
That's awesome.
Sorry, Trevor.
How do you practice for Maple Seed? It's like a 50-yard friggin' target. How do you
what did he do?
25, yeah.
What did he do? Did he just like stand up, throw his rifle to the ground, like, oh, the hell with this?
Clearly, I should have spent more time over at Maple Seed and caught that on the drone or something. That would have been.
Oh, that's awesome. That's funny. I gotta talk to him about that.
Yeah, we were getting the instruction the night before, and then at one point they asked, like, "Is there any questions?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I have a question." Like, you guys all realize this is just a fun shoot for charity tomorrow, right? Like, we're training right now for this. But
Nah, man, everything's a competition, contrary to what some people might tell you.
Yep.
Speaking of, let's get into
competition for
awards and
fun.
presentations.
Time to dry fire
Oh,
for a
actually,
fucking
you know what?
change.
On that note, I want to get into awards and presentations, which, in retrospect, we should have done the drawing for prizes before we did the awards, so that I could have had more time to enjoy my sunburn and dehydration and not rage quit Excel on 2 separate occasions, because trying to get everything sorted in Excel caused me massive problems.
It was hilarious, though. But at least when you screwed up the awards that people won, they always did better and not worse.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was totally a sorting thing. I definitely, and I apologize profusely to Mr. McClatchy for Miss America-ing him, because I did feel pretty bad about that, but he did move from 3rd to 2nd, so
Yeah,
tough titties.
you don't feel that bad. Yeah.
and you did steal the award from Dick Bob as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that, Marty. I put Marty's fictional future child in as my example person, just to make sure all the formulas work, and neglected to take him out before sorting for actual score. Again, apologies for Dick Bob.
Richard Roberts is a great guy.
Yeah. Sorry about that. So let's talk about the awards, because everybody got to give out their choice award. Let's go down those. Gavin, who did you give your trophy to and why?
I was going to award my trophy to the person with the most multicam, as per SOP. Unfortunately, nobody was decked out head to toe, so I had to default to another criteria, which was the most hilarious shot with the 458 Win Mag, which then went to Brian with a Y. And if you log on to Facebook under the Canadian Patriot podcast page, you can see the video and why. He shot it seated from the floating platform that Tyler had built, and the recoil on it caused him to move back significantly and force him to uncross his legs as one was flying all over the place. So as much as I love to hate on Brian as well, that was absolutely hysterical, and he certainly deserved an award for that, if nothing else.
Right on. Marty, who and why?
I don't know if I spelled his name right in the show notes here, but it was Matt McCartney. So, as I mentioned earlier, there was a lot of good bands and stuff like that going on at the plate rack. So Matt, and I forget his buddy's name that came out there. His buddy was shooter, but not Aaron. Yeah, he wasn't an experienced shooter. He was shooting one of Matt's loaner guns. So he was borrowing a gun off of Matt, and the two of them ran out the plate rack. And his buddy, using Matt's gun, was out shooting him. And so, rightfully so, he kept throwing down the dollars until he could beat his buddy with his own gun. And this award went out to Matt. I mean, the level of determination, the shit talking, and the many Canadian pesos that went to the charity out of his pocket, which was well appreciated. Just being a great sport and bringing a new shooter out and just being a good time at the plate rack. So that's why he got the award for me.
Was it more Canadian dollars than like your average bar tab?
We'll get to that.
If it's each individual bar tab, yes. If it's the combined, if you had to pay multiple bar tabs, it wouldn't be. No.
All right, Tim, who'd you give your award to?
Oh,
and
some
why?
guy. I don't know. No, I gave my award to the photographer Rick Antonio, and it's just like to have a photographer of that caliber. Once I was seeing the pictures roll in, was really a nice surprise. I wasn't to the shoot last year, but like for people to come out to the shoot and like pay that price and to get like a t-shirt and like photographs, like he did very well and tried to get at least 2 or 3 shots of everyone at that match and some excellent action shots, and he did a very good job. And so that's like people are going to be looking at those pictures on and off for the next year or two, so I gave the award to that guy.
Rick has done some fantastic photography in the past, and I'm so happy that he's the official podcast charity shoot photographer.
Yeah, the caliber of his photography is quite high.
Now, he just needs to post that somewhere that the average person can see it.
It's on Facebook. Tyler, who did you give your award to and why?
I gave my award to the Madman of Quebec, Etienne, Clubber of Seals. Chiefly because, he made a very memorable first impression last year, and he made the trip back, deeper into Ontario to make this shoot. He came for the Ragnarok course, and he's just kind of like the shining example of kind of a warm presence on the range. An excellent sportsman. His just head's in the right place. He's, giving it. Tackling every task with enthusiasm. Is just an all-around good guy. We need more guys like that in the community. So I feel like you're gonna carry yourself that way. You're gonna get an award in front of everybody.
Check out this dank French guy, fucking based.
Well,
yeah, I like the guy. He drops hilarious truth bombs. You can check out one of the Brockville live casts from last year for some of his comments. He's just an awesome dude.
How about that?
Or log on to Tim's Good T-shirts and pick up a Etienne Seal Clubbing Club
Yes.
T-shirt.
I'll post those up.
Side note, Tim's T-shirt, Etienne's Seal Clubbing Club T-shirt was one of the few designs that sold out.
Damn.
Yeah,
People loved that.
this is the commies.
It's been a couple of years since we've had a French pro gun podcast in this country, and it'd be maybe that's someone to get that going again.
I believe they are actually. Caliber Quebec is, I believe, recording new episodes shortly.
And just some positive feedback for the podcast. Etienne, we were talking at the pub on one of the pub nights at Buffalo Wild Wings, and he said he's like a long haul trucker, and he just said that he loves to have like the podcasts on his trips, and it just gives him a connection to home. He's just it's just like, I just want to hammer home. It's like it's important work that the podcast guys are doing, like because shooters are like we're a small percentage of the country, but like we can always tune into a podcast, and especially once you've been to a shoot with a lot of these people, then you really feel a connection to that kind of stuff. So Etienne's a good guy. I hope to see him again next year and many years to come.
Well,
I'd like to help him club a seal while wearing a Seal Clubbing Club T-shirt.
I want him to teach my daughter how to club seals.
yep.
It's a good goal. Matt, who would, or rather, who
Terrible at it
give
right
your
now.
award to? Huh?
Oh shit!
Is this about cock veins?
Just along those lines. All right. I mean, anyway, so prepare your anus for a black pill. I made a speech.
Just get on with the awards.
I made a speech and gave the award to the actual charity Man Need a One because it's an important issue. I've known people that have died because of PTSD after they've come back from surviving tours overseas, and I said my piece about that, and I think everybody,
I got to say that when you said it in person, it was better than when you're saying it now. But the sentiment stands.
I'm not trying to repeat it right now.
Yeah, that's fair. You sound pretty inebriated right now. I said my piece at the shoot, and explained why I was giving out my award. It was to I spent most of my day walking around and trying to correct problems and spell people off so everybody got a break, and made sure everybody was drinking water and changing their socks, taking my dolls where appropriate, trying to get through and shoot all the stages myself, which I successfully completed, making sure that we didn't have Matt slaving away over a hot barbecue all by himself.
You did Maple Seed?
I did do Maple Seed. I did Maple Seed all by myself. I had two
Rageless.
Maple Seed instructors, and it took 10 minutes.
Rageless?
Rachel says I completed the Maple Seed. I shot it with my AR, and I did well.
Fuck. Should finish your
So I ended up giving my my choice award to Eileen, one of our female shooters. It was Eileen's first time shooting competitively. It was Eileen's first time shooting an AR-15 from the prone. She doesn't like rifles. She considers herself a handgun shooter. And she got an awesome bruise from the shotgun.
Yeah.
But every time I saw her shoot, she went up, she took the direction, she did what she was supposed to do, she did it safely, and she tried everything despite being new at it and intimidated by most of it.
Yeah, I can vouch for the fact that she ran that shotgun like a champ. Like, she did not score the best time or anything like that, but I mean, she ran it as hard as she could for having never done it before.
Yeah, what was interesting with that, and just to like, we ran her on the shotgun stage. There was Jay Hines, Snow Kynes, Gavin, and I, and like, she was up there with a shotgun. This is, I think, not the first time shooting the shotgun, but certainly the first time shooting the shotgun in a match. And she fired her first shot, and then she stood off from her shoulder a bit with the buttstock for the second shot. And she's kind of, then at that point she commented, she said this thing like something like talk about the recoil. And we said, no, you grab that and you pull it into your shoulder. And this is everything that happens with that shotgun is because you're making it happen and you run that shotgun. And that she was normally like when a new shooter, and especially like if you want me to generalize, like a new like female shooter runs a shotgun, as they shoot, they become exhausted and they become recoil sensitive, and the shoot goes to shit. But she got
body
better.
frame is quite petite, you know.
Yeah,
so I mean, that's a fairly large gun for anyone to handle. But if you don't have mass behind you, you certainly feel it.
Yeah, and her second string was better than her first, and her third string was like she took charge of that shotgun, even though she was clearly like feeling the recoil, and she ran that stage like a champ. So I'm glad you gave her the award, Andrew. I second that.
Yeah,
so
certainly well deserved.
We also had the podcast awards. Who did we give the CPP podcast award to?
We gave that one to Trevor.
And why would we do such a stupid thing? I mean, why did we do that?
Just for his contributions to the community as a whole, and partially because of his comments about the range last year.
Oh, that's right. I can't carry a holstered
When he was
handgun.
informed that he could not carry a holstered handgun around the range, he just shrugged his shoulders and said, "It's a cuck range." And that resonated deeply with me. That definitely made an impression. That was the first time I had met Trevor in person, and obviously it's a story a year later I haven't forgotten.
And who did you award the International Over Your Death podcast award to?
That went to Brian with a Y because he just flat out wishes he was as cool as Americans.
We were also not made aware of any other, potential American recipients, and we certainly weren't going to give the award. Like, just Matt wasn't going to present it to himself. Yeah,
nobody wants to see me like jerk off my ego onto the awards table there.
Yeah.
No, certainly not. No one wants that.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the big numbers. We had 73 people come out to participate or help as staff. Fortunately, we were able to get most of the staff to do at least some shooting. I really, really cannot say enough good things about all of the women that helped with all of the administration. Lovely wife who has not said anything for the past hour.
Yeah, what's up with that? I'm excited for her debut on the podcast, and then she hasn't said anything since her intro.
Yeah.
It's all right. Sean signed off and didn't say anything either. So
I didn't really have anything to add about the stages. That wasn't my area.
You could have
fair.
piped up when we were talking
How about the
radio
registration
bands.
stage?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
got
the registration stage. How did
you have to learn the art form of bants because you could drop some bants that would have been epic.
You have to interrupt people with authority.
Yeah, and just lay out.
that's right. I also want to thank Gavin's significant other. Angela did a wonderful job, as always, as our merchandise manager, which, given her professional background, she should be good at. So I'm glad it went well. And
Skill set.
Marty's significant. Yeah, I'm trying to match people to what I think they're good at, or at least what they get paid to do in real life. And I have to thank Marty's significant other, Des, for handling all of the stats for me. She punched everything in, and I couldn't ask for anything better, except
Yeah, maybe you
for
should have got her to
Excel
sort
the
them
way
for
I
you.
wanted it.
Yeah.
Well, at least she got all the scores
made
and.
me
What?
Yeah. That's on you at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have all of the scoring for one particular stage in advance, so I had to do it on the fly at the end of the day once I figured out how they had done their scoring. Just because every stage that we designed was points lowest equals best, and a certain group decided to do it the opposite to how normal people operate. So it required a little bit of
we chose
finessing
to
at
go
the end
by
of the day.
We chose to go by their format, so that's on us still as well, though.
Yeah, so that required a little finessing to get it to fit, but we got it there. And I can't thank my admin staff enough for doing all the things they did, handling all the money, the registration. I had to send Des out in the middle of the morning to get more cash because we went through hundreds of dollars of fives and hundreds of dollars of change that I had taken out.
Des, take this AR, go get cash.
Yeah, that was basically like, okay, so I'm going to give you a Glock and $300. I expect you to come back with one of them.
Yeah, and a hush squad balaclava.
So, I can't thank the staff enough. Everybody who volunteered to RO, the Maple Seed ROs, Jeff, both my Jeff from my gun club and Tim and Tyler's Jeff from your gun club that was helping RO a bit. Can't thank all you guys enough for all the time and effort that was put in. Tyler building the awesome stage, my wife for putting up with my shit for the last couple of months, my mom deciding to come up and help because she had nothing else better to do on a Saturday and wanted to laugh at me. Like everybody that stayed overnight and came out and drank with us was a good time.
Some of us had more
wife, do you
drink
have
than
things-
others,
Yeah.
and some of us.
Well, I want to,
as it turns out.
I want to ask my wife about her experience running the admin side of the house, and then I want to talk about the Saturday night bar incident because we already talked about the Friday night bar shenanigans. Tune in to episode 87.1. Wife, go ahead.
I just want to say everybody that came through was so incredibly nice and really patient. The registration list was in no sort of order, alphabetical or otherwise. So,
YOLO.
yeah, thank you. So people were incredibly patient at me finding their names and sorting through all of that. Very, very, very nice. Very chatty. People came back to talk to all of us. Very, very kind and thanked us all for what we were doing. Lots of people loved Tim's good t-shirts. Very, very popular. And yeah, everybody was pretty awesome. There were a few people from the club that were not as nice. There was one guy that
Would you like to name names?
No, I don't know the guy's name. He was not participating. He was a club member. And Matt, I don't know if you noticed this, but
so we can call him out.
he
on
was
it.
super skinny. He looks like he hangs out in his mom's basement making like homemade house music.
No,
Yeah,
I'm just
Exactly. So anyway, we were at the barbecue area when it was packed, and he kept pushing people out of the way, and he clearly had no reason to be there. And there was plenty of space for him to walk around people, but he just kept pushing people out of the way. I couldn't see his name tag, but he was a dick. But everybody else was super, super nice. So if that guy's listening, you're kind of a dick.
His kids probably look nothing
Hashtag
like
don't
him.
be a dick. But without the government, how would you get Somali immigrants to gangbang your wife?
I also want to say that the rubber ducks were very, very popular.
I believe
Yeah.
we have a plan to blow one of those up with tannerite. So if
Yes.
anyone wants to be a part of that,
Wait, blow what
With
up?
that,
I
we,
must-
we get yeah.
I must say, many, many people suggested that. They said, "Oh, I love the rubber ducks. We should blow them up."
Immigrant Reception Center.
Yeah, Matt.
Awesome. Okay,
one of the
now
award winners.
we can talk about these Saturday night shenanigans.
All right,
So,
the Banty.
to summarize, is it safe to say that Tyler almost drowned while showering himself?
Yeah, so here's what happened. We went to the bar after the day's events, but this is, of course, after having a couple beers during takedown and cleanup.
allegedly.
Allegedly, of course, yeah. So we go to the bar, and I sit down, have a quick meal, quick beer, and then I gotta get out of there, and I gotta get my boy to bed. So I get him fed and down to sleep, and then right back to the bar again. And start throwing some beers back, and then there was a candy fight at some point. It was a
Okay,
good
can we
time.
talk about that? We are incredibly lucky that we did not get kicked out for throwing
but
ice
let's
cubes
just-
and
let's
candies
just-
at one another.
Let's
Like
get an
petulant
interruption in this.
children.
Yeah,
Is that
let's get an
the biggest thing
interruption
you've
in
ever
this
done in a bar?
interruption.
Throw candy.
And- Yeah, and we'll do a tangent within a tangent. And I just want to say, Tyler, isn't it really nice to know that your kids are your kids?
I guess.
Liberals don't get that.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Some of the guys know that like the kids are like, their wife's boyfriends. Like that.
Because yeah, but you said like I went and put my boy to bed. That was your boy,
Yeah.
That's not a thing.
not a thing. You're right. Justin Trudeau. Now we go back to the original.
Anyway, guys,
Justin Trudeau!
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, there was a candy fight at some point. It was a good time. A lot of people, they filtered out early because they were pretty burned out. But a couple of the familiar faces stuck around until the wee hours. And when it came time to leave, of course, there was a revelation that there was allegedly an unsettled bar tab. And we dealt with that, and we will deal with that.
Sorry,
but then,
again, for clarity, Marty, I believe you can tell us what was on those bar tabs because I'd be curious to know what kind of a person skips out on their bar bill for a charity event.
Okay, so there was two bar bills that were not settled up before people left. One was a Caesar with a chicken fajita salad, and the other was a rye with a roast beef Yorkie. Was what the menu said. So that was the.
So if you ate
you
either
are
of
the
those,
owner of
what-
these two.
yeah, if you want to get
Saw
right with your
anybody
God, and by
drinking
that
a
I mean
Caesar.
settle up with Harambe. Yeah, if you want to get square with Harambe, get in touch with the podcast post haste.
Yeah. Or if you saw anybody drinking a Caesar, let us know who it is, so we can laugh at them.
If you don't get right with like the people that ended up paying your tab, like we know people.
Yeah. Harambe
That-
is watching.
Hack your
You know.
shit, hack
Scramble
your
a
shit
scramble a
dots
hush
you,
squad.
and prove your entire establishment is based on a fucking lie. So anyway.
I mean,
All right, so anyway, we finish up at the bar, and I wander home.
People were drinking pretty good.
Yeah, we finish up at the bar, and we
That's how
wander
you-
over to Tim's
get
room. We do a
yourself
little podcast. I'm very glad that we made it unlisted because it was, of course, a drunken shit show, as you would expect. We knock a few beers back. We have a good time, and then when it comes time to hit the hay, I don't even remember leaving the room. I do remember snagging at least 2 of Tim's pepperoni sticks out of his cooler, though. They're
quite good.
and they were
They're
quite
quite
Fair
good.
game. Fair game. Yeah.
So I don't remember anything from stumbling home, but I do remember just kind of tripping on a curb in front of Buffalo Wild Wing, about halfway between Tim's hotel and mine. And then apparently, this is what happened. Apparently, I came into the hotel room and I let the door kind of slam shut, rather than gently, close it. And the sharp clang of the latch startled my sleeping baby. And then by the time, he was in like full awake mode, I was, of course, like passed out in the bathroom, and Rachel had to deal with my mess. And then when she finally, it took her like an hour. It took her like an hour to get my boy Archer back to sleep. And when she came into the bathroom to see like what my deal was, she found me ass naked, face down in the bathtub, and I had dropped like a nuclear dump and stunk up the entire hotel room. And I didn't flush, apparently, or maybe I tried to flush because she said also the toilet was clogged. She said I had clogged the toilet, so I may have tried to flush it, and then apparently there was also like a little bit of vomit on the floor, and then apparently I also had like a shitty asshole, and that was like pointed straight up in the air for everyone to see. So I'm just picturing myself, just like dropping this dump, throwing up, and then just kind of stumbling around the bathroom, ass naked with a shitty asshole, and then passing out in the bathtub.
Wash ass.
And then what happened was apparently at some point,
possibly on fire.
Rachel tried to like wake me and get me out of the bathtub because I was like running the shower, and then I was like muttering something about chicken wings, and so she shut the water off, and she just kind of left me where I was. And then when I finally kind of woke myself and wandered like to bed, before I left the bathroom, apparently I just pissed in the bathtub. So I had a great night. I had a good time.
Yeah. You know what that is, Tyler? That's the Canadian immigrant experience right there.
Well, hey, I was the only guy. I was the first guy at the bar to start drinking beer like in man portions. I blazed that trail, and other people joined me afterwards.
You're almost a street shitter.
Sometimes those are the consequences. Sometimes you piss in the bathroom.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that those hot wings from the evening before had something to do with that. Because there were definitely I was muttering about.
It might have had nothing to do with
definitely a few people feeling it.
I was just in a hot wing delirium, and I just didn't know what was going on, and I didn't care.
A delayed reaction to the ghost peppers.
Yeah,
it seemed to have affected everybody. Maybe that's why Trevor had that sort of rage meltdown. It was the ghost peppers that kicked in.
It was the ghost peppers. It affects people differently. Some people rage quit, and some people shit themselves.
Some people get all over the bathroom.
So
actually, I'm pretty sure that's on the menu, and it says at the bottom. It said you could rage quitting and shitting thyself.
Yeah, it's in the fine print at the bottom somewhere. Yeah.
So that same Saturday, after recording that podcast, and prior to Tyler sounds like shitting himself on his way home, I ended up back out with the Slamfire Radio guys and some of the Maple Seed people, and for further drinking shenanigans. When I showed up there, I was using some sort of a like VR helmet video game system. And so for about 10, 15 minutes, we were drinking while throwing stuff at him, college, and trying to stop him from walking into random things. At which point, he eventually took it off and went, "Oh, hey, when did you get here?" after about 20 minutes of being in a VR world, where we continued to drink. Eventually, we got kicked out of there as they went to sleep, and then ended up back in my room until about 3 a.m. when Trevor left, came back with 3 bottles of moonshine, and then just spread this around and left. That's where all of the said moonshine has originated from and is now throughout the podcast is working its way around.
People wonder why Trevor gets awards.
Yeah.
I wonder what game he was playing on his VR headset. Probably the game Matt and I talked about in our last show, where you're just like on a helicopter chucking communists at the back.
Yeah.
That sounds like a fun game.
Was he like humming the Chilean national anthem?
He was, yeah, definitely.
It's like 5 fans pointed at him as he's playing.
So starts like singing the Horst Wessel lied like out loud.
He said it kept being sworn by Endes.
I'm gonna try and write this before it goes totally over. Let's do the numbers thing and then start wrapping this up because It's bedtime for some of us. We had 73 people register and attend the event as shooters or staff, a combination thereof. And we had other people also in attendance as spectators and sponsors that did not register. So I think all in all, we had around 80, 85 people. 100, 120 guys, does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yep. 2-3 no-shows, but yeah, 100, 120 guys sounds about right.
Yeah, so I think all in...
Can we just, before we go any further, like, come on, guys. It's current year. Let's stop assuming gender, for fuck's sakes.
I meant it as the inclusive guys.
Oh. Okay.
People-ish.
Yeah.
Boy body.
Didn't you earlier say that women should have stayed home?
That's for the G and ends with a Y.
Yeah. I was slipping. Okay. Girl body people should stay home. Boy body people should go to the...
Moving right along, we had our 73 registered attendees plus various spectators and other unregistered quasi-participants.
Can we call
And
the
I am
attendees?
Only if you live in a basement. The train is totally derailed. What was I going to say? Oh, the amount of money that we raised, because we made everyone listen through Tyler's bodily function, so I wanted to announce the final...
You waited to tell that story. I was happy to tell that story.
I did.
It's a fun story.
I know. You probably have notes that say...
I like the story. I just enjoy that we made people listen
I had a lot of fun.
in order to hear how much money we raised.
Before you go on to that, though, I did another Google search. Bob Ross is still dead.
Well, now I'm triggered all over again. Thanks, Tim.
Triggered
Dude,
as fuck.
it takes a mighty shit to clog a hotel toilet.
I know.
That's like a commercial
industrial. It's like industrial.
It's got like acid in the pipes to like break down your shit instantly, but it doesn't work with radioactive material. So
oh my gosh.
And maybe like you got up from the toilet and your legs failed because you passed such a load.
They probably shut the hotel down.
Oh God.
The final tally that we have submitted to Many to One, they have cash in hand for all but $50 that I am assured is forthcoming from a corporate donor. $5,775. We have beat last year by 5%.
Which means that I will be getting a charity shoot tattoo on my body. We did not meet the 10% above that to get the CPP logo tattooed on my ass, but I will extend the period to the end of the month. So if anyone wants to continue to give some cash donations, you can send an EMT to what's the address there, Andrew?
Stand by.
We need your help.
Podcaster chair.
Visit www.patreon.com/CPP to become a Patreon.
Podcaster charity shoot at CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. I'm sorry for the length, but it is easy to remember. Podcaster charity shoot. Podcaster charity shoot at CanadianPatriotPodcast.com.
When do we go live?
And if you make the password podcast, that would be fantastic, so it's easy to remember. But if you send those donations in between now and the end of the month, if we reach our goal of 10% on top of the $5,775, I will get that tattoo on my ass.
It's podcast, P-O-D-cast, not P-A-W-E-D.
Yeah, so if we raise another $577.50, I will graciously get that tattoo on my ass. As it seems that was quite a popular thing that everybody wanted. So if you want it, pony up the cash, folks.
Now, are you talking about only butt cheek, or is this like taint available for?
No, there will be no taint tattoo, but it will be a full cheek. A full cheek.
Is there no taint tattoo because that real estate on your body is already occupied?
Currently, no, but I am going to save that for something special.
It's got a taint ring.
More like 5. It's a big taint. It's a big taint.
Exit only.
So there you go,
I don't know
folks.
about you guys, but I know some people that were there on Saturday where it's not exit only.
Let's do the rundown of the outro because I have to edit this before I go to bed tonight, and that's gonna suck. Gavin, where can people find you on the internet?
The best place to find me on the internet is Instagram at urbex_GTA or on Facebook with the Toxic Kodiak Pathfinders.
Matt, where can people find you on the internet?
Pornhub, Above Top Secret, Drudge Report. Oh, you mean like not what I get on? Okay. I'm on Facebook.com/Liberty or Death Podcast, Liberty Death Podcast on Twitter. We're on Instagram. What else are we on? That's about it. We're on iTunes and Stitcher and Podcast Republic. Liberty or Death Podcast is the best place to find us. And subscribe or die.
Subscribe or die.
How about you there, Tyler?
I exactly where you find Matt. That I'm not gonna.
Perfect. You're basically the same person. Marty?
He's so pissed.
Nowhere. But can I just point out the fact that with the podcast as quality as this one just was, how the hell did anybody entrust us to run a charity shoot?
The important thing is we had a greater number of participants and raised more money than in previous years. So all in all, I'm calling this a win. Despite what some people might
everything
post
is
on
a
the internet
contest.
about how not everything is a contest, I strongly disagree. You are the product of thousands of years of people mating and the best of the best surviving. Everything is a contest. If it wasn't, you wouldn't be here.
That's definitely like not true for the last like 2 generations, but
Yeah.
Yeah, but the last 2 generations are an anomaly and should be put in the oven.
Well, I mean, I agree with you, but also I think the bottom line is like you can get edgy and whatever and be politically incorrect, but I think what this weekend shows is that regardless of if you want to be edgy or politically incorrect for some shits and giggles, like you can still run an amazing event and make it happen and give a lot of money, raise a lot of money for a charity. So I think that shuts all the naysayers down, in my opinion.
yeah, the T levels were high this weekend, and we got it done. You know,
It's probably all the zinc we were sponsored by.
yeah. I cleaned
Yeah.
out sea of zinc.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have to take like supplements to counteract all the zinc we're imbibing. Like,
I have to take a tea suppressant.
Fluoride.
Yeah, drink some tap water.
I gotta drink tap
We're
water.
getting a little too woke.
My T levels are way
Tim.
too elevated.
Tim, where can people find you on the internet?
Before we get into that, I just want to take 30 seconds, and I want to say that while we were at the second pub night, Matt, Aaron, and Nikki and I were doing some investigative journalism. We found a locked room underneath the Shakespeare Arms. We're fairly certain that inside that room was Osama bin Laden and Saddam Hussein, and that they were remotely piloting the giant rubber duck to release chemicals into the water that make the frickin' frogs gay. And
So the air went into the room.
the air was going into the room. So it wasn't positively pressured. We're going to have to go back.
What the fuck are you talking about? Jesus.
My team's on it. Look forward to a future episode. In the meantime, you can find me at Tim at timsgoodtshirts.ca or facebook.com/timsgoodtshirts. We got good folks looking into it. Don't drink the water. You putting them in the show notes?
Tim, I stopped listening like 2 minutes ago. Did you plug where people can buy a T-shirt?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Victoria, do you have a social media personality you'd like to share with these cretins?
I would think you would already know it, but then Victory on Instagram and Snapchat.
Oh, good. Snapchat.
No, if
Love it.
only there was anybody still listening at this point. That'd be
Well,
very
I have
useful.
good news. We have listener feedback to address because apparently last year's total was over $7,000, to which I say that is not the published figure. And if it was, someone in the planning committee should have pointed it out 8 months ago when we picked the number for Gavin's ass tattoo.
Do you know what
That
I think
is
the show
agency.
needs? The show needs more cooking.
Get some
content.
agency.
It has been,
Oh my God.
confirmed by 3 separate people at 3 separate times that the published amount was $5,500 even.
Thereby making the first tattoo goal, the amount that we raised, $7,775. And I swear to
And that
God,
was
if I have to kick more
based
money in to
on
get Gavin's
the-
ass tattooed, I'm gonna do it.
Well,
Yeah,
Where was I?
$5,500
Oh,
as published by the organizers of last year's podcast charity.
in multiple
Not going to
social
listen to
media.
some goddamn rage quitter at a Maple Seed stage.
The world does not start and stop at your convenience, Donnie.
You're out of your element.
Am I the only one that gives a shit about personal responsibility?
You're like a child that wanders into a movie halfway through.
We should just do Big Lebowski quotes. Not even as drops. We should just quote Big Lebowski throughout the episode, just to, like, pepper them in. I'm sure that would get us lots of downloads and probably a cease and desist.
What if we just do like a reading of, and we can each play a character for an episode? Like we just read through the script.
I call the nihilists.
I need to be Walter.
Believe in nothing.
Yes, you
Can I
do.
just say that this podcast has gone about as well as the charity shoot went?
Swimmingly.
Super fun.
We got it done, but it was completely off the rails. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Even when a train derails, it still has momentum and travels in the direction it's supposed to.
Yeah. A train derailment is still better than a liberal government.
Always, my name is Andrew. You can find all of my work on Instagram and Twitter at EDTactical. If you want to get some firearms training, visit me, RagnarokTactical.ca. Benny, Gavin, and I will give you some premium quality instructions so you too can operate operationally on operations. Check out the show, CanadianPatriotPodcast.com, or on Facebook, Facebook.com/CanadianPatriotPodcast. Remember to send us a shekel, CPP. I screwed that up. Remember to send us a shekel on Patreon, patreon.com/CPP.
We need your help.
For all of
to
our
support
listeners.
the show, visit www.
I swear to God, let me get through this outro. I'm going to... stabbery. For all of you listeners out there in podcast land, this is the part of the show where I remind you that you are the true North, strong and free.
Tim, how much fluoride do I have to drink to suppress my desire to impregnate my wife?
Do you see George and Bay out there? Your tea is too high.
Why are we still live?